What is up, guys? I had an idea for this video for a while now. I wanted to do it early in the pandemic, but I'm just now getting to it. So for this isn't for your first gig. This is the rules that I follow for every single gig that I have. Every time I go out, I always do this. And I hope you guys follow it too. I hope it makes your gig go much smoother. These are things that I learned from experience or some people told me. This is a whole different amalgamation of things, but mostly things that I do myself personally. Alright guys, before we get into this video, also remember to like and subscribe to my channel so you can get more things like this. The first thing on the list is always bring a backup or always invest in an extra gimmick, deck of cards, or some type of thing you use when you're performing. I always bring like a whole roll of quarters when I go to a gig. I actually keep them in like a little tin can, so when I go out and I perform, I don't have to constantly ask people for change. I could just take out my own and I just perform, because I'll be destroying the quarters. I do Oxbender. I'll destroy it and give it out as a souvenir. And I always bring two different decks with me. Actually, sorry, two of the same decks. I actually bring 3 decks with me. I bring an extra deck and a duplicate deck if anything were to happen. There was one time I was performing at a friend's college, so I had a deck of cards with me, and I went to perform something else for someone. I think it was something with a ring, and I placed my deck on the table where they were serving the food. I didn't know. It was like one of those canisters that have flames coming out. Under the food, they have a reservoir of water. I picked it up. It had water damage all over it. And luckily, I brought an extra bicycle deck with me. So from that day on, I learned always bring a second deck. And there's always gimmicks that I'm always afraid of losing. And I definitely do need to buy another one, because if I do lose it, I have it back up immediately. I have 2 super sharpies. I have 2 double crosses. I was so dedicated to getting another double cross because it's like my favorite trick. Another thing, this is probably an obvious one, always dress your best. And I'm saying go out, get a really nice suit. It doesn't have to be a really expensive one. It was easy because I worked at a department store, and I could just go to a coworker and just tell them to size me, and I could get a suit that way. But always get a really nice suit. Cut your hair, or get your hair done, whatever type of hair you have. Get a haircut, shampoo, shower right before the gig, brush your teeth, do everything that you can. And one thing I also do is that I have a close-up bag, and inside this close-up bag I actually keep gum in there if anything were to happen. If I was given a drink, or if I eat something before I go and I'm running out of time, I just have a piece of gum in there just in case if anyone wanted to smell my shitty breath. And also get shoes that are comfortable too. You're not going to want to do a hour or 2 hour walk around gig and you're going to be complaining the entire time. Get something really comfortable, and also get a suit that isn't too tight or too loose so you won't look weird. You want to look professional. Even if it's like a gig that's paying you like $50, at least you put in the effort to look really nice. Tip number 3 is, ironically, do not take tips. And I think this is from Eric Leclerc. I don't know if he told me this in person or I heard it from someone else, but I know it's definitely from Eric Leclerc, is do not take tips from people. And I do this, and it actually does work and it does help. What you want to do is tell them, hey, what would help me out much more if you tell the person who hired me how much you liked it, so I could come back next year and perform for you guys. That has helped me get rebooked for next year's gig. Instead of getting a $20 tip or a $5 tip, you might as well double your money and get that and lock it in, because you're gonna have the person who hired you basically get all these people constantly coming up to them like, oh my god, the magician's great, the magician's awesome, so they're gonna try to get you next year if they're able to. And also, there are times when people are very stingent and like, no dude, take the money. And sometimes I've had people shove the money into my hand. At that point I would say just take it. I've had people say, yeah, I would tell them, but dude, no, just take it. Also, another thing you could do is say, hey, they already took care of me, I already got my paycheck, give it to one of the servers. I'm pretty sure they're probably gonna want it much more. You're gonna make their night. And I would say that's much better. And this is probably a very obvious thing, but it took me a while to try to get this. There are times when you have a gig at that gig they also have a band playing at the same exact time, it is impossible to perform because you'll be giving instructions or doing something, trying to explain something to somebody, and they can't hear a single word that you're saying, and it's very frustrating. So my method is probably something even Helen Keller would figure out, is move to the quietest area or the quietest corner away from the band and perform in that area. You would still have people. If it's somewhere where people are flowing in and out, you would have more and more different people. I'm not saying stay at one table. I would say try to stay as far away as you can from the band, or if they're playing really, really loud music. It just makes your job easier. It just makes everyone just happier because it's really, really frustrating. I've had really weird instances when you're trying to perform for somebody and they can't hear anything. And I would say this is something that I do personally. It does take a lot of time to do it. What I would say is to wait for the person that hired you and wait for them at the very, very end and perform something very special for them, for a thank you for hiring you. Because there are times where I'm booked from say they want me at 6 o'clock and I'm done at 8. Sometimes I'll wait for 9:30, because sometimes the person who hired you or who organized the entire event, they spent so much time running around trying to help people do all these different things. They don't have a time to sit down and watch a magic trick. That's just the reality of the situation. So I'll wait for them, and there are times where I would wait and they were like, dude, I thought you left a while ago. I'm like, no, I wanted to show you something. I want to show you my appreciation. And you get to perform a trick for them, and I was rebooked on doing that alone. Save something really, really big that you haven't shown anyone else that entire night. And it's something that kills. Yeah, I guess that's all. Yeah, always bring a backup for everything. Dress nice, brush your teeth, get a haircut. Also, get a haircut the day of, so it's fresh as possible. I'm not even kidding. You could get it the day before, but me, I grow hair really, really fast. Look as best as you can as possible. Don't show up with jeans and a t-shirt for a gig where everyone else is dressed up. Even if everyone's dressed down, you still dress up. Don't take money from people. Just ask them for a nice review and give it to the person who hired you so you can come back next year. Perform in a quiet area. Get away from speakers. Just move away. Just don't be next to it, because you're going to be performing and people are going to look at you because they can't hear anything, and they're like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that was cool, and they don't understand anything. And finally, always perform for the person who hired you last, and save something really, really big or something you haven't shown anyone else that night, because sometimes you even get a tiny crowd that stayed around and you get to show everyone that just for waiting, and that sometimes always would get you rebooked. Sometimes always get you. That doesn't make any sense. 60% of the time it works every time. Yeah, and I think that's all. If you guys have any other suggestions, just let me know and comment it below. And I'm sorry that the uploads are slowing down a bit. I just started working again, and also I'm working on a very, very big project that I've been doing non-stop, and I don't know when I would be able to show it to you guys, but I'm gonna hold off for now because it's in its very, very infantile stages. I've already spent a lot of time, money, and effort into the project, and it's gonna move along, and it's probably not gonna be done until next year, I'm hoping. But it's something that I've always wanted to do, mixed with something that I feel like it feels right to do. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, thank you so much. Actually, comment below what it was your favorite tip that you never thought of doing at a gig. But yeah, see you guys next time.